U.S. Attorney in 1978, for which I will always be grateful.
And so will the office.
and the two best jobs I've ever had have been an Assistant U.S. Attorney and a Police Commissioner. In both opportunities, I've had to work with Andrea. And I've got to know Ralph and Rob very well, and they have been incredibly committed to the work of this Police Commission. I've learned from both of them, and it's been a pleasure to work with them now, and as Ralph indicated this morning, to call them friends for life. And then finally, the opportunity to work with John Mack, who is a legend. And I will say, my first reaction 8 years ago or so, when I heard that Mayor Villaraigosa had appointed John Mack to be the president of the Police Commission, was, oh wow! I just an extraordinary appointment, and it has had such a tremendous impact on the department, and maybe more importantly, on the commission and the credibility of the commission under John's leadership. He's just an extraordinary person, and there are there are a few times in one's life that you get an opportunity to meet and work with a great man, and I'm so grateful to have had that opportunity to work with John.
Yeah.
I would agree with everything my friend Commissioner Julian just said, and just add my own voice to the chorus of appreciation for John Mack, who, as I said a little short while ago, has been the most effective advocate for the civil rights of all Americans in my lifetime. And to be able to sit next to him for a year has been one of the great moments of my lifetime. Also, to work for Andrea Orden on this commission, someone who I've admired from the start of my legal career, and get to say that. I've said this before, and I'll now say it to all of you. When I think of the great lawyers from this great city, there are three that come to mind, and that's the late Warren Christopher, Dean Erwin Chemerinsky, and Andrea Orden. That's the Hall of Fame of lawyers in this city. And so for a year, I got to work alongside her, and that is the pinnacle of my legal career. Working with Rick and Robert, as I've said before, I think I'm a better lawyer now than when I started on this commission, and it's because I've been copying everything I've seen them do for the last year. As for the commission staff, they have been the most generous and kind people that I've ever had the privilege of working with. Every week, every time I come in, there's always a smiling face and always someone who's willing to help. And of course, they're led in that regard by my friend Richard Tiefenk, who I've sat next to and have asked for advice, and he's always been generous with his time and just a great leader. And if the work we see up here seems to go smoothly, it's because Richard has spent a lot of time helping us to make it go smoothly. And if we've been effective, it's because he's been manning the tiller while we've been working the oars. Finally, I would say a great thank you to my friend Alex Bustamante, who is a great Inspector General and has helped us so much this past year, and of course to the Chief of Police. He is not only the chief, but he's the emblem of this entire department. And I would say that there are no 10,000 finer people. And I'm very happy, as I've said a short while ago, that I have 10,000 new friends. Working with this department on behalf of the people of the city of Los Angeles has been the greatest honor of my life. And I do appreciate it. And we shall see each other again. And may God bless this department, and may God bless the city of Los Angeles.
Well, I think some of you who know the rest of this agenda realize that the Commission wants more formally to recognize the extraordinary service of John Mack, so perhaps we will save other comments until that time. But I just echo everything that the other commissioners have said about this department and this chief, by the Commission, the CID, and all the men and women of this department. It has been an extraordinary honor to serve with you. And one of the important things about being a citizen representative, a civilian representative of this department, is that we can go back out into our own lives, our own communities, and share what we have learned and what we know. And it has given me such honor to be able to share the good stories of this department over this period of time, and I've appreciated it greatly. With that, I think we will go through our agenda. As you well know, often the public agenda is the smallest part of what the Police Commission does. The Commission works on so many issues in our offices and on the streets, and of course in closed session. But we will go now to our public session now. We will be postponing the election of officers. And we will now go to the report of the Chief of Police.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
And I want to add my thanks to our departing four commissioners and of course also to Commissioner Salzman. This has been a great commission to work with. I think it is a unique commission in the history of Los Angeles because of its depth and because of its expertise and because of its credibility. You know, the relationship between the Police Commission and the Los Angeles Police Department is unique in law enforcement. There is no other police department, certainly no other major police department that is overseen by a commission in the way that has been prescribed through the Christopher Commission and through City Charter, like the Los Angeles Police Department. And this commission has been very effective in that oversight and has not only enabled the department to do some great things, which I'll talk about in a minute in my general report, but also added a strong voice and great credibility to what I think is the real goal of the Los Angeles Police Department. That is to be a leader in this city in the implementation of safety and the improvement of race relations. And this commission has done an absolutely incredible job at that. Your support on immigration issues, your support on diversity issues within the department, leading to a department that exactly reflects the makeup of the city as it has never had in the past, is just truly extraordinary and has to go recognized. But as they say, that you know, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and I think the proof of the value of this commission is in some of the following things. This is a 10,000 sworn officer department because of the work of this commission. This is a department that is no longer under federal oversight because of the work of this commission. This is a police department that has reduced crime for 11 straight years, as no other police department, certainly in California and generally within the United States, has been able to do because of the work of this commission. And maybe most important, this is a department that has strong relationships and great credibility throughout the city of Los Angeles in all diverse communities because of the work of this commission. You know, I will continue to be a good steward in my role as police chief, continue the work of this commission, and I want to thank all of you for what you've done. You have given incredible time and energy, and I know that it has been a great personal cost, and I appreciate it. And from the 10,000 sworn, and 3,000 professional staff of the Los Angeles Police Department. I say thank you. Report on crime. As I said, this is our 11th straight year in crime reduction. This may be the first year in modern history where the Los Angeles Police Department has less police of the city with less than 100,000 Part 1 crimes. We're not there yet, but we may indeed get there. Homicides are down so far this year by 9%. If they continue on this course, we will have in the neighborhood of 270 homicides by the end of the year. That will be the lowest in 6 decades. And a lot of that is because of the work of this commission and the department in embracing a more collaborative gang violence reduction model. And you know, murders in LA are gang related in the vast majority. Violent crime, total violent crime reduction for the year is 11.6%. Total property crime reduction is 3.9%. Part 1 crime reduction overall is just over 5%. Shootings are down, Department, throughout the city. Every bureau is seeing significant Part 1 crime reductions. Gang crime in total is down 17.8%. Personnel statistics. We have 9,996 sworn police officers. We have 2,814 professional staff, and we have 277 Level 1 reserves, 22 Level 2 reserves, 135 Level 3s, 372 specialist volunteers, 44 chaplains, and another statistic that this commission has been greatly involved in is we have over 3,000 cadets. And as you well know, that is a program that is near and dear to this department's heart and is something that benefits the city greatly. And I thank the commission not only for your support of the police department, but also its youth programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Madam President, we do have one comment card. We have Mr. Ted Hayes.
Unfinished business. Female mother of 2 died in police custody. Because from my conversation yesterday, the fire department has a completely different concept of what a safe house means in this city. They believe their safe house is exactly as the safe houses for the county of Los Angeles. In the county of Los Angeles, when a child dies, it goes to the coroner. If the baby lives, Children Family Protective Services. That's not county, and that's not city, that's county. So this mother, believing that the safe house would be a place where she could drop off her 2 children, did that. And the police department did exactly what they are required to do. They arrested her for child endangerment, and as you no doubt know, she eventually died in their custody. But I wonder why the disconnect between our fire department and the police department is what our safe houses are like. Why that we don't consider that it's more important for the child not to be in a dumpster rather than the mother being behind bars for being a neglected, irresponsible parent. That's what the county's position is. We would rather save the life of the child than punish that irresponsible mother. But the city has not seen it that way. Our business is redirect our focus as to what we do with infants. Our safe house only allows a child who's coming back and forth to school to get out of the rain or get away from a bully. That's our safe house policy. But I think our safe house policy has to be expanded to the place where police officers, in their irrational behavior, do not treat a woman who's evidently not quite well wrapped until she dies. So that's unfinished business, Chief. I'd like you and the new commission to come in and examine that. Thank you.
Thank you. The report of the Executive Director.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Commission. On behalf of myself and our staff in Commission Investigation Division and our Police Commission staff, certainly want to thank all of the commissioners for your support and service to the City of Los Angeles and to our staff. You have been very gracious, you have been warm, you've been open. They appreciate everything that you've done for them because you have done a lot for them. They have all learned from you. In many ways, they've learned the subtleties of as you go about your job in a very professional way and a very caring way. They've observed you, and I think in talking to all of our staff, they have just grown to admire you individually for the skill sets that you bring to the job and your personality traits that have just, I think, absorbed into this organization, as the Chief indicated, and certainly at our staff level. It has been my honor and pleasure to certainly serve Commissioner Mack for the longest tenure, for his full 8 years, and to Commissioner Orden with the next longest tenure, with you take her 2 terms, and then certainly Commissioner Druyan and Commissioner Bernardino. And I mentioned to Commissioner Saltzman earlier, I said, how do you feel being left out of the party? And I certainly want to extend my appreciation to him, too, because he has been a valuable member of this team, and although he'll be remaining, he will be certainly a good individual to work with our new commissioners as they learn the tremendous job that they're undertaking. But as I conclude my comments, I just want to say that from a professional and personal level, I've learned tremendous from each of you. It has been my honor and pleasure to serve you, and we look forward to keeping our friendship close, because just because you're leaving the commission doesn't mean you're leaving. So I have your cell phones, I have your emails, and I know how to find each of you. So thank you on behalf of the commission staff for all of your work.
And as you know from our earlier meeting this morning, each and every member of the Commission thanks you for your wise guidance, your assistance in every way, and the staff that you have developed. They are extraordinary, hardworking, and a special thanks to the City of Los Angeles for this building and putting us together in these offices. It has given an opportunity for the Commission to truly be what it's supposed to be as the titular head of this department, working with the men and women of the department and working with the staff of the Commission and the staff of the Inspector General. So thank you very much, Richard T. Fank. Report of the Inspector General.
Thank you, Madam President. First off, I want to echo some of the same sentiments that Mr. T. Fank made on behalf of the Office of Inspector General and myself. I wanted to say it was an absolute privilege and honor to be serving this commission and doing the day-to-day work that is so valuable for the police department as a whole. And I want to also thank the commissioners also for the guidance and support that you've given my office, the investigators, all the way to myself in doing the day-to-day work that we do. As you know, some of the issues that we tackle are difficult and often sensitive, and our office is not able to provide you the information that you need without the support and guidance that you provide to us on a daily basis. So I want to thank each and every one of you for the support that you've given to every one of our office. Thank you very much.
Oh, and we thank you very much as well. There is a distinguished member in the audience of a graduate of the Inspector General Office, and I think we know, and those of us who served on the Christopher Commission, and it gives me an extraordinary feeling of pride to even be linked with Warren Christopher's name in that regard. That one of the most important things that has been recommended in the road to reform was to have a strong commission with a strong staff and a strong Inspector General with a strong staff. And each year, I think we have seen more and more resources brought to bear, and that is absolutely crucial. And I feel confident that the new commission, with the help of Rob Saltzman, who has been an extraordinarily valued member of our commission, will continue that, because it is crucial in keeping the department strong. We have information filed items, and if you look at your agenda, you'll see more information on both the special event permits on file and the noise variance permits on file. And then Number 7 is presentations. Do we have a presentation?
Not on this item, ma'am, on the regular agenda.
You're doing it separately?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Then consent agenda items. We have 8 through F.
Madam President,
Yes?
I move approval of consent agenda items 8A, B, C, D, E, and F.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. All right, on our regular agenda items, I know we are certainly going to hear on A. I believe we want to hear something on C and F. And I take a motion.
Madam President, move approval of regular agenda items B, D, and E.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Oh, and G also.
I'm sorry, and G.
And with that amendment, approved.
Yes.
All right. And it now gives me great pleasure. This is the Executive Director's report. Mr. T-Fank?
Yes, Madam President. At the direction of the President, a staff report was prepared to recommend the awarding of the Police Commission Distinguished Service Medal to Vice President of the Board of Police Commissioners, John W. Mack, for his service as a member of the Commission from August 17th of 2005. And with that, I'll turn it over to the President of the Commission.
Well, we have already begun our praise of John Mack. The Police Commission has the ability to award a Distinguished Service Medal, which is its highest medal, and it's in recognition of this extraordinary 8 years that he has served here. Our Commissioner Druyan said it well here and before that John Mack is certainly a mentor, a role model, an icon in the civil rights movement, and has been for those of us that have lived in Los Angeles as long as I have. He came first to my attention personally when I was on the Christopher Commission, and he testified before us. He is a fervent, passionate advocate for civil rights. And he has become a face of the Police Commission, sometimes a stern face, but most often a face that is balanced and intelligent and smiling. He has been the driving force for numerous enhancements in the LAPD. The negotiations for the consent decree were, of course, important by so many people in the department. The two chiefs, Chief Bratton and Chief Beck, were crucial, of course. Jerry Chaliff, who worked this through as police administrator for so long. But John Mack was so important in bringing that consent decree to an end. There are many different things, whether it's the summaries to the public on the commission mandate, his constant effort on the digital in-car video cameras, which I certainly hope the new commission will be equally diligent. The Explorer program changed to this great cadet program for all of the commissioners, and Commissioner Saltzman worked so hard to make that happen. You've been a commission liaison to the City Personnel Department. You've been vigilant in ensuring that the department is transparent and that all the communities of the city are treated with respect and care and compassion. Each of us, as you know, think you are an extraordinary police commissioner. We're each honored to be in service with you, and we thank you. And with that, we'd love to present you with the Police Commission Award and the beautiful, beautiful recognition scroll.
Madam President, if you could procedurally just take the vote first, that would be
Excuse me, Madam
appropriate.
President, we do have one comment card.
I told you about the executive director, didn't I? We couldn't do it without him.
We do have one comment card before your vote.
Yes, please.
And Madam President, if I might as well. I haven't spoken before this morning. Commissioner Mack referred to families and odd uncles. And the analogy, I have some feeling of being in that role this morning, but so I appreciate the reference. I just think it's so fitting that we are doing this today, this week, during the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington. And it was struck many times over the weekend watching the coverage on television, listening on the radio about the truly significant role that Commissioner Mack has played in all of our lives here and nationally. And for me as a person, I just learned so much. Clearly substantive things about how to approach the important issues and concerns that we shared, and his gentle style with a real backbone to it as well. And I hope that I have learned from that very much. I will miss all of my colleagues, and I share all the thanks that have been offered to the chief, the staff, the men and women of the department, the staff in the commission and the inspector general, our folks from the city attorney's office, and each of my colleagues very much. I'm pleased to continue to serve, but it's going to be different. I think back to, my guess is Commissioner Orden doesn't remember this at all, but when I moved here to Los Angeles in 1980, I had the benefit of what might have been called an old boy network, except that it was made up entirely of women. And starting with I will call it a professional women's network, as opposed to any other, I don't know how to transfer old boy into something appropriate. And starting with a professional woman I'd worked with in the president's office at Dartmouth College, and connecting through her to Andrea Van de Kamp, John Van de Kamp, Andrea Orden, Alma Fitch, among others, and really helped me get started professionally here in Los Angeles, and I've been very grateful for that ever since. And so for me to be able to serve, Andrea, with you in this capacity has been quite wonderful for me, and I share all the accolades that have been given about your record and your service. Of course, my other colleagues, Rick Julian, his keen intellect, his leadership on some of the most important issues that we have focused on has been very instructive to me. And in the last year, Ralph Bernardino joining us with his fresh approach, great wit, and focus on so many issues of importance. I will miss each of you, but you can, as Richard said, I know how to reach you, and I know I will be reaching out to you. So thank you very much. And I'm just, if we have to be doing what we're doing today, I'm so thrilled we're honoring you, John, and that I can be a part of that. Thank you.
Okay.
And public comment?
Yes, we have Ted Hayes.
This week's Wave newspaper, Mr. Mack, Betty Pleasant, have you seen it? It gave a very detailed rundown on his career, his activities throughout his time here in L.A. And Ms. Pleasant was so unhappy with his leaving this commission, unhappy with the mayor particularly. She threw down the gauntlet of hatred for Garcetti. But anyway, Mr. Mack and I have been ships who passed in the night mostly. We've never coalesced for any particular thing. But one thing I'd like to express, most people believe, and I think it's a good reason to believe it, except that current situations on very high levels disprove this, that Mr. Mack represented the voice of black people here at this commission. Now, I say high-level disapproval because our president is a president of all people, not of black people particularly. But he seems to be president for gay people and president for illegal aliens, because there's a great deal of legislation that voters to them. So the new commissioner who comes in here, if they have that pigmentation and they're black, the black community would expect that commissioner to be one who represents the black community as far as their issues and their distaste and dislike with the police department. So that's a fact. I mean, it's not something I dreamed up, but it's an actual fact, and I think Mr. Mack is thoroughly aware of that. So once again, Mr. Mack, I'd like to thank you and your fellow commissioners for your devotion and your time to the city, and good luck to you in your future endeavors.
Thank
I think now we get to vote.
Madam President, we have a move. Do we move it?
Yes,
Oh,
get to
okay,
vote. Yes.
Madam President, I move approval of the Executive Director's report to award the Police Commission's Distinguished Service Medal to Police Commissioner John Mack.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved.
Thank you to my colleagues. I'm deeply honored to have you bestow this very, very distinguished honor upon me. It's extremely meaningful coming from you who have worked so closely with me. I'm extremely proud of what we as a commission, working in partnership with Chief Beck and the command staff and the men and women of this department, what we've been able to accomplish over these past 8 years on the commission. But beyond that, as I reflect upon the past 30 or 40 years, most of which, when I headed the Los Angeles Urban League, I was at war with the LAPD for its oppressive, by many of them. I don't want to paint the entire department with that brush, but certainly I'd have to say from a leadership standpoint, policy-wise, there were some very oppressive policies, and frankly, some racist policies, particularly in the African-American community and communities of color. But to see how far we have come, today's Los Angeles Police Department is an outstanding police department in every regard. Maybe some would accuse me of having drunk the Kool-Aid, but I think it's the best police department in America. And to have been able to be a part, along with all of you, of the tremendous reforms that have taken place, and to see community policing truly in action. And I know that's something that goes to the core of Chief Beck's philosophy. And to see how relationships between the men and women on the streets every day and the various diverse communities, how those relationships have changed. And as Chief Beck mentioned a little earlier, to see that today's LAPD truly reflects the diversity of this city, all of that is a source of great pride. So it has been a great journey. I'm extremely proud of what together we've been able to accomplish. And, challenges remain, but I'm optimistic that as long as we stay on course and stay focused, those challenges will be met. On a personal level, I'd like to acknowledge my son and daughter-in-law, Tony and Teresa Mack, who are in the audience, and our good friend, now United States Attorney, Andre Barat, former Inspector General. And as others have mentioned before, to Richard T. Fank, you are absolutely critical to the effectiveness and to the success of this commission. And the same, you and the wonderful staff that you have working with you, and Alexander Bustamante, Office of Inspector General, you and your staff, true professionals. Your respective offices and you as individuals no doubt about it, make it possible for us as a commission to assume our independent oversight policy responsibility mandated by the charter. Without you, there's no way that we could do it. But equally as important, the partnership, the true partnership with Chief Charlie Beck, command staff, and the entire department. I really feel that I've developed some real friends, some relationships that will last forever. We have maintained that delicate but important and essential relationship of being collaborative without being co-opted, sometimes agreeing. I would say most often agreeing, but sometimes disagreeing, but disagreeing hopefully on the merits of the issue, not based upon personalities. This has been a great ride. As I said in an earlier session, I came in here feeling like that strange uncle that's in everybody's family. Folk were looking at me in a strange kind of way. Here's this guy, some folk had just seen maybe a 60-second sound bite of me on television blasting LAPD. As a matter of fact, I've had one of your Deputy Chief Perez reminded me of when I, early on after I was appointed, went over and had a meeting with Central Bureau Command Staff, and one of the comments I made was, don't judge me based upon those sound bites that you've seen. Judge me based upon my actions moving forward. To me, it's just about fairness. It's about treating people with respect. It's about being sensitive to the various diverse communities, and it's about safety for everybody. But most importantly, it's as we continue along this journey, it's about creating a Los Angeles that really will come, that is the pioneer in democracy and diversity for this entire nation. And LAPD has an important role to play in that regard. It's been my honor and my great pleasure and privilege.
Go down there and do that.
We'll move on now to C, Inspector General's report, quarterly discipline report.
Thank you, Madam President. Approaching the table right now is Assistant Inspector General Kevin Rogan, and his team was primarily responsible for this report. As the Commission is aware, we review the Department's quarterly discipline report, and this report stems from a review of that, but specifically looking at the bias policing investigations that the Department has done. And what we looked at was a portion of all of the 2012 bias policing complaints We took a sample of each of those and examined them to make sure that the investigative quality, the adjudications, everything with regard to those bias policing complaints was done appropriately. And when we found that there were no major issues with this and believe that the investigations were generally very thorough and complete. We also looked at another issue. We looked at the training component for bias policing. As the Commission is aware, the Department has required training for officers that are in the field regarding constitutional issues and issues involving bias policing. We have reported in this report that we have a 93% completion rate for officers, and there's 7% that have not undergone this training, and we believe that is actually an acceptable number given the amount of officers that transition into and out of those positions requiring the necessary training. So based upon our assessment, we thought the department had made great strides from the previous report, and we do not have any recommendations going forward.
Let's see. Any comments from the Commission?
My only comment is that the way in which the department investigates and adjudicates bias policing is absolutely critical to the credibility of the department and the relationship the department is able to build with our many diverse communities. I'm very pleased with this report. I know from Commander Webb, your predecessor, how seriously he and the department have taken this issue. And I just think that this is something that the department needs to maintain its vigilance with in making sure that they thoroughly and fairly investigate and adjudicate the allegations of bias policing, and that the Inspector General's office periodically reviews what the department is doing in this area to make sure that these complaints are being dealt with fairly. The chief and I discussed briefly this morning about what's going on in New York these days, and I think a lot of the reason why the New York has the problem it has is because it hasn't tried to address the issues the way this department has done. I mean, this department takes these issues very, very seriously, and from the chief setting the tone all the way through the command staff and the supervisors and captains that I've met with. But it's the kind of thing that you can lose credibility very quickly if you don't maintain the vigilance. So my parting words to the department and to the command staff are, I'm very pleased with this, but you got to keep up the good work. You have to keep taking this as seriously as you have in order to maintain the credibility that you have. You can lose it instantly. It takes a lifetime to develop it, and you have to keep maintaining your vigilance. So kudos to the department. Keep up the good work.
I would certainly echo those sentiments and agree that this is an area where we have made some progress. Again, as I reflect upon the past 8 years, when I came in initially, I have to tell you, this is an area that, in my opinion, the department had not taken as seriously as it needed to take. Didn't have appropriate set of protocols. Basically, you know, folks just making some nice statements that we don't discriminate, and you know, it's nice to make a statement, but back it up. But again, I'm very pleased with what has happened. You know, the implementation of the Constitutional Policing Unit, the establishment of good objective protocols, and from the, and having the entire department understand from the chief on down that this is an important priority for this department. Seems to me that I agree it's absolutely critical, particularly as we move forward and we think about maintaining and even building upon the greatly improved relationships between this department and communities of color. We really have to, it is important that we keep our eye on the ball. So on the one hand, commend you for, moving in the right direction, but let's keep on trucking.
And I share that sentiment as well, and a great kudos for getting the training done at the level that you have over this period of time. I must admit I looked ahead a little bit to the agenda for the next quarter, the report that has been referred to the Inspector General, and in terms of keeping trucking, there are some interesting numbers there, and I know that the Inspector General will be looking at those things very carefully, including the fact that measurable contacts in 2013, the first quarter, dropped quite remarkably. And that can be very good news or maybe not as good news. So it'll be very interesting for the new commission to be able to understand what is going on. So, and I appreciate the excellent work of the Inspector General on this. Thank you. And
I move approval of regular agenda item 9C.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And then finally, we have the department's report relative to the City Council request for information on future police facilities. Good to see you.
Good morning. Tom Redden, Commanding Officer, Facilities Management.
Morning.
Kind of feel like Bette Midler at Johnny Carson's last guest.
You've gotten more laughter than any of the previous ones already.
During the budget hearings this year, Councilmember LaBonge renewed his request for the city to ask for another public safety bond to specifically focus on building a new facility that is part of our master plan, which would be tentatively named Northwest and would be between the current Northeast area and Hollywood, and would take some of the burden of that rather expansive area off of those two facilities and those two expansions of staff and create that particular facility. In addition, our master plan calls for 2 additional facilities in South Bureau. Currently, we don't have funding for that, but we are in the process of finishing up with the Prop Q bond. All of the facilities that were promised under that bond were delivered in 2009. There are a lot of people who think that this particular building, the headquarters, was part of that. That was a separate facility bond measure that was actually, this building was actually MICLA funded. So there was separate from that particular bond. Out of Prop Q, we had approximately $85 million in savings, and from that we are in the process of 4 new projects. One that is ready to break ground any day. The contractor's already been awarded and he's currently mobilizing, and that is the renovation of the old Rampart Station to a headquarters for Metropolitan Division. We have just in the last week opened bids for the new Northeast Station. So we hope to have that bid awarded by the end of the year and to break ground either by the end of the year or in January to replace the old Northeast Station. And then we have 2 projects that are up at Elysian Park. One is to build a new training facility that will not only get us out of the squalid conditions we are in the trailers that have been there for years, that are termite infested. We have lots of safety issues with those, but it will also it will give us a technologically perfect building, and will meet all of the training needs that we have for the department in being able to go from classroom type training to situational training. We'll be able to have a new force option simulator in that facility, and we're also going to completely renovate the administration building, bring in new electrical, new plumbing, upgrade the air conditioning system, which doesn't exist, make the building ADA compatible, and we will also be upgrading all of the shooting ranges at Elysian Park, which should actually save the department, because we are changing out the trap systems for the bullets, approximately $500,000 a year in maintenance costs. So at this point, what we're asking the council to do is move forward with whatever requests they're going to make. We have submitted requests in the past to the mayor's office when we requested, as well as to the city council, on our priorities for additional stations. Finishing up the Northeast station is our #1 priority. And then for new stations, the station between Hollywood and Northeast would be our #1 priority. The 2 stations in South Bureau after that, and then actually the creation of a separate West Valley Traffic Division that would take the burden off of the traffic enforcement that we have at Valley Traffic currently.
Tom, I don't know if you know the answer to this, maybe Chief, is another bond issue being considered by the council, or have they gotten to that point yet?
That was the direction from the city council during the budget. So the city administrative officer and chief legislative analyst's office are both looking at that. How that's going to play out with the current city council's looking at a $3 billion street measure bond, I don't know. That's going to be something that the new council, that now that it's seated, when those priorities come back, but we will continue to advocate for it.
I know the various buildings that were approved under your tenure and that we're lucky enough to visit or to work in have made an enormous difference to the department. It says a great deal to the communities and to the people who work there that they are valued to be able to have safe buildings, technologically appropriate buildings, and often, like this one, beautiful buildings. And I think it's made an enormous difference, and I appreciate all you've done during your time to make that happen.
I appreciate that very much, but I always have to give credit to Yvette Burney, who started the PropQ program, was the person who shepherded it through the approval process with the voters and all of the design. It's been my responsibility and my good fortune to bring all of that to fruition.
And I would just comment, I would certainly commend you. I think you really have done an outstanding job. I mean, I recall when we made the move from the old Parker Center over here, you certainly did an incredible job in that whole process.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So does my staff.
Madam President, Mr. Brennan, as you know, I'm on the PropQ Commission, and I think it's fair to say that it's been a very successful program, and I think it's a model and something that doesn't get publicized enough about how public works can be run effectively. And my understanding, and perhaps you'll conclude the thought for me, is through the careful management of the money that the voters appropriated under this bond, you did all the projects you were going to do, and we had enough money saved to do additional projects, including building a new police station at Northeast. Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
How much additional work got done after the original?
But we'll have four facilities, 2 of them renovated, and it's basically $85 million worth of new construction that was generated in savings and in interest earnings on the original $600 million bond. And in addition to all of the police stations that were done, there was an additional $50 million out of that $600 million that went to renovations of fire stations. And the program savings on that, we've done about an additional 30 fire stations that have had minor renovations and upgrades that have been necessary, and the city simply didn't have the funding to do.
I think it's a great example of public funds being used in a very wise way and managed very carefully to achieve these extra results. Regarding Northeast, I would have one comment, though, and it's the same one you've heard before, is obviously I think there were concerns among the rank and file officers about the condition of the old Northeast station and regarding environmental issues. And I would urge you all, as you're constructing the Northeast Station, to keep the rank and file aware of the results of environmental testing and otherwise, because I think that's important for them to know. This new facility is cleared for all of that. And I think that transparency, I think, will alleviate a lot of previous concerns. Would you agree? Or
I agree with you, and actually we were out meeting with the captain at Northeast on Monday, bringing him up to date on the progress, and we will be, because they are going to remain on site in the old facility while we build the new facility, we will be having regular updates with their roll calls to let them know what's going on and how things are affecting them, and as well as maintaining appropriate safety protocols on the site and doing the environmental testing and removing a great deal of the soil that people are concerned about. You really can't put a shovel anywhere in the dirt in Los Angeles without coming up with some level of contamination. Sure. But given the concerns that we have there, we're doing a great deal of remediation.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We do have one comment card, Madam President. We have Tud Hayes.
Is the city council becoming envious of the county and the sheriff and his new facilities across from the courthouse? I don't know. But there was a bond measure to provide facilities for the police department. It passed. Things were built. But they were inadequate. They were not big enough. So there were extensions put onto that. I don't know whether it was a mistake made or whether it was incompetence or whatever, but at one time the people of the city decided to do something to provide facilities, adequate facilities for this department. And it didn't seem to work out very well. Some people ask, what's happening with Lincoln Heights? Does the police department still own that? What are they going to do with Parker Center? In other words, there are things that exist right now that Reedville people have a desire to know what is going to ever happen to those things, because they believe that it belongs to the city as well as to the police department. But I don't know why the city council is concerned about building anything. They're bankrupt. They can't build anything. They don't have any money. And I think if we reflect upon what happened the last time a bond measure for the police department and facilities was issued, it was done. And apparently was not done right or done in the level that it should have been done in to provide accommodations from then until now. So I would hope that, well, I guess your colleagues will have to pass it on, that we examine what we already have. Caruso raved and wailed about Parker Center forever. He managed to get some fire alarm systems in. Is that what we need? Speaking of systems, we need a telephone bank outside the jail. If you go to the county jail, Twin Towers, they have a bank of phones. When you release from jail, you want to call for somebody to pick you up, even if it's a taxi, but there are no phones.
Thank you. Your motion?
Madam President, I move approval of the department's report and transmission to the City Council.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there public comment?
We have four. We have Sarkis Agajanian, followed by Mr. Juarez, Tud Hayes, and Jabril Mohammed.
I hate to rain on your charade. Why hasn't my assailant been caught? It's been 4 months. I walked right by him in Westwood Park Saturday. So I thought, let me give the authorities another chance. Went to West LA Division, said da-da-da, and as the young lady was calling me up, I said, I don't want to talk to that Gorilla Evans, a known black person. Big, too. I've only met him once. So she said, well, what did you say, sir? I said, I call him a big gorilla with a badge. Panic. They ran me out of the station. Now, everyone knows police have a fascist mindset, but I never knew they were that narcissistic. My God. I get beat up as a common citizen. Snap, 4 months later, nothing happens. And you hurt the ego of a little policeman. Oh, they call the black man gorilla. You don't know what I got prepared for you yet if you look at what your envelopes. My computer's down. I can't print. I had to do all this by hand. That's the kind of police department you run? It's pathetic. You guys can do all the reports you want. Where is my justice? Let me tell you something about that democracy this man spoke about in Los Angeles. The center cannot hold. Your democracy is collapsing. It begins with corruption in the police. You can't even find jurors. You have to get non-citizens. No Athenian, no Roman would possibly have a foreigner judging him. But your middle classes have given up on your jury system. That's why they don't go. They don't like the cops. They don't like the system. You have to bring non-citizens. Shame on your democracy.
Mr. Juarez.
Good morning, police commissioners.
Good morning.
You know, 25 years waiting for justice is a long, long time. And believe it or not, I got a complaint to police, border patrol, and sheriff. And I come today to say hi, wake up, police commission meeting. And I got a question for the chief. Chief, you already stopped the police officer, cold blood killer, chasing the homeless? Because I'm homeless too. You stop the horses chasing the homeless? Answer me, Chief. Yeah. No more horses, no more police officer, cold blood killer chasing the homeless? No more? So, well, anytime I come to cross the line over there in San Diego, San Isidro, I tell the officer, hey, I got 3 complaints to police, border patrol, and sheriff. Why for the border patrol? Because the border patrol sent me to walk to the desert with my green card in my pocket. And I received letters from Señorita Barbara Boxer. She said there is no federal violation, but that was attempted the murder any time. And I hope someday I get paid for the mistake the police, border patrol, and sheriff made with me and my family. And I never give up. 3 times police brutality on me, but they can make it with me, you know. And I'm very sorry because in 1970, they got me in the police car with the handcuffs. And I got away from the police. They get to sleep, and I made it with the handcuff. Puro Pedro Navajas. All right.
Ted Hayes.
There is a measure of unfinished business, and you have not addressed your attention to it, and I brought it up when I spoke about the safe house. That's a very important thing. I primarily try to focus on life and death issues, life and death. And I would hope that that would always be the consciousness and objective of any police commission anywhere. And when we had a death of a person in police custody over a controversial or different type of safe house, I thought that would prompt your attention. You might have a hearing on it, ask for a report on it, but nothing ever happened. Theoretically, because the matter was under investigation, you can't talk about things under investigation. And although there's been a demand that the investigation conclude sometime, they still go beyond the year termination point. But the safe house is an important thing, particularly now with the condition of many children that I see and recognize. Children are the responsibility of the county, not the city, not your mayor or the council people. But your conscience should still be directed toward the safety of children, if none other. And if we have a safe house that only allows the kids to get in, out of the rain, or escape or evade a bully, that's not a safe house. So we have to make a determination, I believe, and I will pass this on to people who deal with this better than I ever can, in getting the city to deal with a safe house issue that's comparable to the county of Los Angeles. And so that's the unfinished business as far as I can see, as far as your history is concerned, that detail of our children and the family situations they're involved in is not constructed in a manner that the police can assist them in some fashion. A baby in a dumpster is more important than a woman behind bars.
Jabril Mohammed.
Madam President, may I just briefly comment? I would like to thank Mr. Hayes for his earlier comments. I will occasionally, maybe when I have a relapse, I may occasionally miss you. Not too often, but I will. And I'm sure that you will play a role in helping to orient the new police commission.
Jabril Mohammed.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chief. Congratulations, Mr. Mack.
Thank you.
This is Jabril Mohammed for Bismillah, the Justice Movement. I'm here before the Commission with a request for a closed session pursuant to 54957A and B of the Brown Act. This request is in regards to the investigation of evidenced obstruction of justice as well as collusion on the part of the Newton Division as well as the District Attorney's Office. The parties involved would be Detective Code of the Newton Division as well as District Attorney Rose DiMattia. On the June 16th, I was told that the report regarding the matter May 9th, where I was viciously attacked, had been filed with the District Attorney's Office only to investigate to find that it was not, nor was it filed with the City's Attorney's Office. On July 16th, I was told by the commander at the Newton Division that the report had been filed with the District Attorney's Office only for me to investigate to find out that it was not. On August 16th, I spoke with District Attorney Rose Diamante only to find out that she could not in no way access the information that she allegedly ruled on or about July the 11th. She told me that she had spoke with Mr. Code the day before, some 90 days after the incident, some 30 days after the filing. I thought that was sort of peculiar. Thus, the filing of the obstruction of justice and the collusion. I'm asking that the Commission charter this for next week during the regular meeting.
Thank you.
That is the final comment card, Madam President.
Madam President, for the public record, on item 11C, the closed session conference with labor negotiator, representing the Employee Relations Administrator for the department in that session with the Commission will be Police Administrator Jerry Jaliff. That concludes my report on that item.
Thank you. And with that, we will adjourn to closed session.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss item numbers 10A, B, C, and D in accordance with various government codes.
This is my daughter Miranda, and we live in Silver Lake. We love the cultural diversity of Los Angeles. You're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel.
Welcome to Connie Martinson Talks Books. 4 million people have read The Kite Runner, and they have loved it, and they have said this must be more. Well, my guest today, Khaled Hosseini, has written not a sequel, but about Afghanistan, the world of tribalism that has been really split asunder, and what happens to the ordinary person who's caught both in a cultural maelstrom as well as what the world has done to a country. The book is called 1,000 Splendid Suns. It's published by Riverhead Books. Welcome, Khaled.
Thank you.
And what an interesting book about culture as well as the history of Afghanistan.
Well, thank you. No, it is, I think in this novel, Afghanistan, especially Kabul itself, is a bit more of a character than it was in The Kite Runner. Novel spans something like 35 years or more in time, and you see the transformation of a country, especially Kabul. You see the transformation of that city from the quiet, kind of idyllic ways of the 70s to the Soviet invasion, and then to the nightmare of the 90s with the factional war.
You call it factional. I call it, is it, when I say tribalism, is that the same?
You know, it's a little matter of semantics. I think faction is probably a little bit more accurate because some of the different factions shared the same ethnicity.